The Young and the Restless spoilers a web of deception. Michael's secret mission meanwhile, far from the rose garden where Amy laid bare her revelations, another drama simmered behind the corridors of power. Michael Baldwin, Victor Newman's fiercely loyal protégé and legal ace, had volunteered for a perilous undercover assignment. When whispers reached Victor that Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins were plotting a boardroom coup against Jabot Cosmetics, Victor turned to Michael, entrusting him with the role of mole. What neither Jack nor Diane suspected was that Michael's heart beat for Victor alone. His seeming alliance with Diane was nothing more than a ruse. Planting doubt, Diane first encountered Michael at one of Genoa City's glamorous charity galas. Rumors swirled that Victor had become too entrenched in the Winters-Newman conflict and that Michael, disillusioned with Victor's ruthless methods, might jump ship. Diane seized the opportunity. Over clinking champagne glasses, she painted covert portraits of Victor's ambition, sell-offs of prime assets, backroom deals he'd deny to his own board. Michael played along flawlessly. He feigned boredom with Victor's iron-fisted reign, dropping hints of legal strategies he could share to undermine Newman Enterprises. Diane, hungry for any edge in her long-standing feud with Victor, welcomed the alliance and, unconsciously, offered Michael a front-row seat to her own machinations against Jack. Infiltration of Jabot armed with Diane's trust and her detailed plans, Michael gained entree to Jabot's most secure inner sanctum, their corporate headquarters. Under the pretense of verifying vendor contracts and auditing financial statements, he secured a temporary pass that granted him access to offices and files typically off-limits to outside counsel. Diane, convinced of Michael's sincerity, turned a blind eye as he methodically rummaged through desk drawers, decrypted password-protected folders on unattended laptops, and photographed board resolutions that laid out Jack's strategy to wrest control of Abbott family assets. It was in the dead of night, when the cleaning staff had long departed and security patrols slackened, that Michael slipped into Jack Abbott's personal office. His pulse quickened as he clicked through digital archives, scanning emails between Jack and key Abbott shareholders plotting a hostile takeover of Newman Enterprises. Every data point he collected was meticulously uploaded to a secure cloud folder Victor could access at a moment's notice. The confrontation fate, however, is rarely in favor of the perfect covert operation. As Michael pocketed the last USB drive containing Jabot's minutes of a clandestine board meeting, the door swung open with a creaking groan. Standing in the threshold, bathed in the hallway's harsh fluorescent glow, was Jack Abbott himself, arms crossed, eyes blazing with disbelief. "Michael Baldwin," Jack growled. "What are you doing in my office at 2 a.m? Heart pounding, Michael spun on his heel, attempting composure. "Jack. It's not what it looks like. I was looking for, a file Diane asked me to find." Jack's jaw clenched. "Diane? Diane Jenkins? You're working with her now?" Before Michael could muster a convincing lie, Diana Jenkins herself appeared at Jack's side, drawn by the commotion. Her expression flickered between surprise and irritation. "Jack, calm down," she said, placing a hand on his arm. "Michael's been helping me review Jabot's contracts for a potential merger." Jack's gaze hardened. "A merger? Or a takeover? Diana, are you in on this?" Diane hesitated, a rare crack in her facade. I thought Michael was on my side," she admitted, her voice betraying uncertainty for the first time. "He said he was done with Victor. That he wanted to see Newman humbled." Michael seized the moment, leaning in with urgency. "Jack, Diane, listen, this is exactly what Victor wants you to believe. We're being played." "Them?" Diane echoed, turning her eyes on Jack. "Who's playing who?" Michael glanced at Jack, choosing his words carefully. "I work for Victor Newman. My loyalty is to him, not to you. Diane, you've been feeding me insider info on Jabot. Jack, you've been plotting Newman's downfall. Victor's well aware of your plans, through me." Jack's fists unclenched slowly. "You're a spy?" "An investigator," Michael corrected. Victor suspects you two are collaborating to wrest control of Newman Enterprises. I was sent here to confirm his suspicions and to gather proof." A silence fell heavy as the three processed the implications. Diane's face paled, Jack's brows knitted in anger and betrayal. Aftermath and loyalties tested. Jack stormed toward the door, fists still clenched. "You snake," he spat over his shoulder. "When I get my hands on you," he paused, realizing Diane was still in the room. With a glance, he softened, at least outwardly. "Diane, talk to me. Are you in this?" Diane lowered her gaze. "I don't know anymore. Michael, if what you say is true, then Victor has us all playing his game." Michael stepped forward, voice calm but firm. "You're right to feel used. But you need to decide where you stand, and quickly, before more damage is done." As Jack retreated, slamming the door behind him, Diane remained in the center of the room, torn between two business titans. Michael watched her, aware that his own position hinged on the secrets he'd procured, and on Diane's reaction. Implications for Genoa City. Outside the walls of Jabot, Genoa City buzzed with gossip. Was Michael Baldwin really on Diane's side? Had he truly betrayed Victor Newman? As speculation grew, Michael submitted his report. Scanned documents, time-stamped photographs, and logs of every encrypted message passed between Diane and her allies. The evidence painted a clear picture. Jack Abbott was mobilizing shareholders for a proxy fight, and Diane Jenkins was providing legal cover. For Victor, the confirmation was a watershed moment. Not only would he be able to preempt Jack's moves, but he could also control Diane's next steps. For Michael, the mission had been a triumph, proof that his loyalty and cunning remained unmatched. Yet even he could not ignore the price: relationships fractured, alliances in tatters, and Diane's trust irrevocably broken. A city on edge in Genoa City, where power, love, and betrayal intertwine like the roots of an ancient oak. Michael's espionage would echo for weeks, perhaps months, to come. Diane, once confident in her scheme, now faced the fallout of misplaced trust. Jack, enraged and humiliated, would redouble his efforts to destroy the Newman Empire. And Victor, ever the master strategist, narrowed his gaze on the next move, his own version of justice closing in on those who dared betray him. But through it all, one truth remained unchanged: in the clandestine battles for corporate supremacy, and in the silent wars waged by secrets and lies, loyalty is a currency more precious than gold, and far more volatile. Diane's footsteps echoed hollowly down the polished marble corridor as she fled Jack's office, cradling the stamped folder against her chest. Somewhere beyond those walls, Jack Abbott sat alone in his high-backed leather chair, the weight of betrayal pressing into every fiber of his being. The corridor lights cast long, distorted shadows at Diane's heels, an ominous reminder that in Genoa City, nothing ever stays hidden for long. The confession in the moonlight outside, beneath a crescent moon that hung low over the skyline, Diane paused at the edge of a manicured hedge. Her heart thundered in her ears. She knew she'd crossed a line, sending Michael Baldwin into Jack's sanctum under false pretenses, but she never dreamed it would end like this. Michael was waiting in the shadows, his trench coat buttoned tight against the night air. He pulled out his phone, the screen still aglow with the images he'd captured: corporate ledgers with lines red-inked for immediate action, email threads detailing secret voting blocks, and clauses so ruthless they read like battle plans for legal warfare. Diane's voice trembled as she reached for Michael's arm. "You lied to him," she whispered, tears glinting in her eyes. "You lied to Jack. Why would you do this?" Michael's jaw clenched. He studied the folder Diane had left behind, the same one Jack now saw as proof of her duplicity. "It wasn't supposed to go like this," he admitted, voice low. "Victor warned me we'd need rock-solid evidence. Jack's too close to the truth to catch him off guard. And Diane," he added, his tone softening, "you never asked me to betray your heart. Only your plans." Tears rolled down Diane's cheeks. She swallowed hard. "I thought I was protecting us both, our futures, Jabot, everything I've worked for." I never meant for Jack to think I'd turn on him. And I certainly didn't want to put you in the middle of it. As Michael looked into her eyes, he saw the raw vulnerability of a woman who'd gambled more than she realized. "We'll fix this," he said, surprising even himself with the tenderness in his voice. "But first, we have to be honest with Jack, both of us." Jack's solitude back in his office. Jack rose from his chair and paced in front of the expansive window overlooking downtown Genoa City. The lights of Newman Enterprises gleamed in the distance, mocking him with their cold indifference. How could Diane, the woman he'd trusted implicitly, have invited Michael Baldwin, their legal champion, to riffle through his private files? His mind raced. Diane's tears, her trembling voice, the unexpected flash of fear in her eyes. Was it possible she'd been caught in a web far more complex than he realized? Or had she truly betrayed him for her own gain? Jack ran a hand through his hair. This was no ordinary betrayal, it was corporate espionage. And the stakes couldn't be higher. If Newman Enterprises learned of Jabot's secret plans first, they would crush it, dilute its stock, absorb its patents, and extinguish its legacy. He could almost hear Victor's smug laughter at the thought. But beneath the rage, Jack felt something he hadn't acknowledged in years: hurt. The sting of a broken alliance cut deeper than any business defeat. He squared his shoulders. If Diane came back to explain, if she truly loved him, he would listen. But his trust would have to be earned back, one truth at a time. Under Victor's watchful eye miles away, in the steel and glass fortress of Newman Enterprises, Victor Newman sat behind his broad mahogany desk, the dossier spread before him like a general's map of the battlefield. The photographs Michael had uploaded glowed on his tablet, timestamps, GPS coordinates, and Michael's succinct annotations providing context. Victor tapped his finger against his lips. This was the proof he needed not only to neutralize Jack Abbott's threat, but to wield Diane Jenkins as an unknowing pawn in his own master plan. He steepled his hands and summoned his most trusted lieutenants. Within minutes, they were reviewing every detail: stock ledger manipulations, shell company accounts moving millions offshore, and a sinister clause granting Diane emergency veto power, a weapon the likes of which Victor had never seen. "Gentlemen and ladies," Victor began, voice calm but ice-cold, "it seems our dear friends Jack and Diane have been playing their own game. But the next move is ours. We'll confront them, carefully." He paused, letting the implication hang in the air: confrontation without warning, swift legal strikes, and the leverage of a scandal so big it would force them to capitulate or face utter ruin. A midnight truce meanwhile, Diane and Michael returned to Jabot's loading dock, seeking the privacy of a hidden service entrance. Diane's face was pale, but her shoulders had straightened with purpose. "I'm going in," she said firmly, leading Michael toward the back door. "Jack deserves to hear the truth from me. No more secrets." Michael hesitated. "Diane, if you go alone, he might not listen. You need an ally, someone who can vouch for what you found." She met his gaze. "That's why I need you beside me." Together, they slipped into the elevator that carried them up to the executive floors. Every ding of the ascension sounded like a countdown. The reckoning Jack was waiting in the reception area, arms folded and eyes narrowed. The moment Diane saw him, her heart leapt into her throat. She straightened her skirt and approached with measured steps. Michael followed quietly, placing himself a respectful distance behind her. Jack's voice was cold. "You wanted to explain?" Diane swallowed. "I do. Please sit down." She motioned toward a pair of leather chairs. Jack remained standing. "I know what you did," he said. "I saw him, Michael, in my office." Diane's breath caught. "I know how it looks, Jack. I sent him to retrieve that contract folder, the one detailing the emergency veto clause I requested for Jabot's protection. I never meant for him to steal your documents." Jack's lips curled in a half-smile. "You mean to protect Jabot? Or to protect yourself?" Michael stepped forward. Jack, I'm not here to choose sides, just to tell the truth. Diane believed that claws would shield Jabot from hostile takeovers. She asked me to get the folder so she could propose it at the next board meeting. He held out a cleared USB drive. The rest of what you saw, emails, share transfer plans, that's real. I photographed them all. Diane's eyes pleaded with Jack. Everything Michael found is on that drive. You have to know, I did it for us, for our future. Jack took the USB with shaking fingers. He studied it as though it were a dangerous weapon. Then, in one swift motion, he plugged it into his tablet and tapped open the first file. Line by line, the evidence laid itself bare: Diane's claws, Jack's vote-splitting strategy, even references to Newman's stock options that could cripple Victor's empire if exercised properly. Jack closed his eyes and exhaled. You risked everything, he said, voice softer now. For me, for Jabot. Diane nodded, tears glistening. I never meant to hurt you. But I should have told you sooner. Jack stood and took her hand. Next time, we do this together. No lies. No half measures. The calm before the storm. As the night deepened, the three of them sat in uneasy alliance, the USB drive resting like a third presence between them. In the distance, the hum of the city never stopped, dealers cutting deals, lawyers drafting lawsuits, and hearts yearning for power or redemption. But for a moment, in that dimly lit conference room, there was hope that truth might bind them more tightly than secrets had torn them apart. Beyond these walls, Victor Newman watched the clock, ready to strike. And high above Genoa City, a storm brewed, of lawsuits, boardroom battles, and personal reckonings. The hour of reckoning had come, and no one would emerge unscathed. Yet amid the chaos, one immutable truth remained: even in a world ruled by greed and ambition, genuine trust, once earned, can become the most formidable force of all.